Good morning, Minty. Thank you for agreeing to be interviewed today. Minty, when did you join the WI?
Well, it seems a lifetime ago now, but I think we agreed that it was about
1961.
Yes, but so it is a lifetime.
And which WIs have you belonged to?
Oh, faithful and true, over Peaver.
And what inspired you at your own WI to become more involved in affairs of the WI?
Well, I suppose there is a bit of family history attached to it all, because my the Fawcett family were the leaders of the
Militant.
yes, I'm trying to think of the right words, the non-militants, and tempers could get quite heated if the wrong one was used.
So you were from a campaigning family?
Yes, because my great-great-uncle, Uncle Henry.
And he married?
He did.
Yes. Who did he marry?
My great-aunt,
Millicent.
Millicent.
Right, and we know, of course, about Millicent Fawcett,
Yes.
a campaigning suffragist.
Thank you.
That's right.
Well done.
Minty, what offices have you held in your WI?
Probably fewer than they'd have more than they'd have liked me to. Nothing very spectacular, but you just plod on doing what's necessarily to be done. If a job's there, get on and do it.
And what has being a WI member taught you?
I think that anything can be possible if you make it fun.
And nowadays, what does your WI mean to you at the age you are now?
Sadly, the past, and I really do regret this, because it's always been the present, but now it's gone, and there's really nothing I can contribute, I feel.
Probably others would disagree with you that you do enrich their lives as well.
Well, I like to think
with
so.
Your memories.
I'd like to think so, because we have had some fun, and I think those 3 letters spell a very long word. But yes, the last fun we had rather shocked Binks, because I came home from county one afternoon with 5 large market bags. What on earth are those for? Well, it just so happens that we're going to have our holiday in Ethiopia, and they want tights. What do you want tights for in Ethiopia? It's hot. No, it isn't. Not at night, it's cold. So you ascertain that they need the tights to keep the legs warm post-operatively in hospital. And this was where we came in to help, because Binks having been a doctor, we took a large number of tights, 2,000 pairs, with us.
You'd had a lecture, haven't you, you'd had a speaker speaking to the group meeting.
was something like, I can't remember how it happened, but I know it was very much a Cheshire effort.
Well, it happened. Somebody's
Some WI had heard it, I think, and
How-
they started it, and it, like Topsy, it just grew.
yes, it was. They'd got a poster and an appeal.
Loading them
Oh.
up at Manchester Airport into the where they didn't bother to in those days X-ray them or anything.
No.
And so we flew via Rome to Addis Ababa, and here we are coming out of Addis Ababa Airport.
This is you with. I can just see you behind the bags.
And so this is Catherine Hamlin at the hospital with the bags, and it's quite interesting. The girl, both these girls were previous patients, and they stayed on and became orderlies, but this one on the left is very famous. She actually ended up, without any medical training, able to do the operation.
Wonderful.
And when, at a later date, when the College of Surgeons gave a citation, the British College of Surgeons, citation to Reg and Catherine Hamlin, they gave her it included. And there was an occasion when Ian Todd, who was then the president of the Royal College of Surgeons, was visiting them out in Ethiopia, and he went and watched an operation done by this girl with Reg, the surgeon, as an assistant.
Wow.
Anyhow, so we'll go on. There's just a few of these pictures, and this was the Princess Anne ward,
Yes.
and here's Catherine Hamlin and Minty discussing things in her office. This is the grounds of the place.
Just remind me of the year.
Pardon?
Just remind me of the year this was in.
This was 2002.
2002. Thank you.
And here is the sort of main entry. Doesn't look exactly like a third world thing, does it?
No. No.
Very, very
Far more modern than I would have thought.
very smart. And behind there is a Nightingale type ward with 40 beds in it. 4 rows of beds.
Minty, were there other skills that you picked up at WI that you hadn't had before?
Gardening.
In addition to the interest in campaigning, for example.
Well, that all started, of course, as a mistake, the campaigning. I never intended doing that. But I don't know. I think it just, something comes along your way,
Yes. Yes.
gets in the way.
Yes.
So rather than just brush it off, you dig in. I mean, what was it? Water in Africa
Yeah,
for Lesotho.
Lesotho.
In
That was a
Lesotho.
big thing, yeah.
Are there any interesting or funny stories that you could share of your own WI?
Many and abundant, I should say. Between us, Mutt and Jeff have had our own good times.
We've had a lot of good times, yeah.
And I'd like to ask you some questions too, and then perhaps you could together share the funny or the interesting moments.
Right.
So, Anne, again, thank you for agreeing to come to be interviewed today. When did you join the WI?
I joined in 1958. We'd just moved to Hale Barnes. I was newly married, I didn't know anyone. My cousin happened to live in Hale Barnes, and so she said, right, you need to get to know people. And she knew I was interested in a bit of acting, So she said, we've got a nice little drama group in Ringway and Hale Barnes, you must join.
Lovely.
So I did.
And is Hale Barnes the one WI you've been involved with?
Well, no, I was there for 30 years and I've now been in over Peever for 30 years.
Lovely.
Or thereabouts.
And which offices have you held?
Within the WI, I think I was secretary in Ringway briefly, and here I've been president. I think that's all. Yes.
And
Now, I do know I shared secretary with Minty at one point.
right. And what has being a member of the WI taught you?
Everything. Honestly. I mean, I've done things I would never have done, never attempted. You know, I think I'd have just settled down for being a little housewife and mother, and so it's opened up a whole new world.
Wonderful. And what do you treasure most about being a member now?
Oh, the friendship. And fun.
I like the way you say the fun. That's good. So what are these funny memories that you have, the pair of you, of WI, that you can actually
Tell you about.
admit to on camera? And
Oh, I can admit to it.
You start.
I can admit to anything you want me to, in a way, because Charlotte, our daughter, was starting her medical career, and the one thing that she wanted to do was abseiling, and we, on her behalf, we so happened to manage to scrub together enough people to have a class. So off we went.
In the WI?
Yeah.
Oh, before my time. Oh, I'd have loved that.
And well, off we went in my car because it was the biggest. And had a very windy day and very popular, and came home in a car absolutely full and dirty and happy and tired.
and this was a day of sailing.
This was a day of sailing.
Abseiling. Abseiling.
Abseiling, yes.
Windsurfing.
Windsurfing.
This
Wind-
was a
thank
day of
you.
Windsurfing.
Right,
Thank
let's
you.
get it right.
Yes.
No, I
Yeah.
wasn't involved in that, unfortunately. I do remember us doing a gardening course at Tatton.
Yes.
We weren't very good. We talked more than we should have done, I think. But again, I learned a hell of a lot about gardening, which has, kindled my love of it. We have a photograph somewhere of the two of us leaning on our rakes.
Yes.
Just obviously not doing what we should have been doing. But we had a lot of fun doing that. And then we garden volunteered stewards in Tatton for 20 years. And we went to the palace. That really was more as the National Trust, wasn't it?
Yes.
I think so,
Yes,
yeah.
it was.
But that was a fun day. Oh, golly, that's only the beginning, isn't it, really? I mean, it goes on.
But you would admit that your life has been enriched
Oh,
by being a member.
absolutely. Oh, golly me, yes.
Oh. What would-
It has certainly done an awful lot for me, because when we moved up to this part of the country, didn't know a soul, and I hadn't been well for a long time, and I had to have a lady to come and help in the house a bit. So she was ordered to pick me up at 7:20 on Thursday night. And along came on a very heavy bicycle that only one person could possibly manage to pedal at a time. And there was Jessie Royal, the pride of the WI, I think. And what she didn't know, she wasn't worth talking about. But she was a dear soul, and I had to live with her for many years. But she was a character
And an inspiration.
Yes. Yes.
You both have been an inspiration too.
Have we?
Yes,
Never think of it like that, you know.
but you have.
What is an inspiration?
Somebody who encourages others, surely,
I don't know.
to
Oh, well.
to you know, to try things they haven't tried before.
Yes. Like having did you get involved in that on county when we had to knit little baby clothes for charity?
No, I'm not a knitter.
And it was
Not really. I can knit squares,
yeah.
but not much else. No. No, I got involved in the village map project, of course, very much so, with John Gittins,
Oh yeah.
which was very, very interesting to see how they evolved and the various. I don't know quite how I got involved in that. I must have been on a committee, mustn't I? But you know, this is what happens to me. I get involved and I don't know why. I think I dash into things. Might regret them sometimes afterwards. But if I've committed myself, then I'll give it a go.
Yes.
And, you know, that really I think is how I've done all I've done, because
So if you were to give advice to the newer, younger members of WI, what would you say above all is the most important thing to do?
never to say no.
Never to say no.
Yes.
And
I
where has
entirely
that
agree.
led you to?
Everywhere. Really. You know, I mean, I'd never have impulsively entered the Cook of the Year thing in, when was it, Rachel? 1987? Something like that. I think I was on the, whatever committee it was that was arranging it with Calagas, and I thought, oh, well, I'll boost the numbers. So I threw in my menu and was absolutely shattered when, I think it was Betty Siddall phoned me and said, right, you're a finalist. It was one of the worst moments, I think, of my life, but it was actually, I can remember being so terrified on the day. But I did it, to everyone's amazement, and particularly mine. I won it. And that led me on to doing my home economics courses and my demonstrators course. So you see, where not saying no or saying yes or diving in can lead you.
Even at the last minute.
Even at the last minute, yeah. Oh yes, yes. She got me into this at Tatton when we had a phone call from, I think it was Simon. So they were doing a
Demonstration.
Yes, but there was some course they were running, preservation and something to do with the gardens and preservation. And whoever was going to do the bit of preservation had dropped out at the last minute. So he rang Minty and said, you know, what? Can you help me out on this? Oh yes, she said, Ann will do it. So duly the two of us turned up in a funny little tent in Tatton Gardens, and a big bowl of raspberries, and a cooker, and a whole lot of people who probably knew more about it in a way than I did, and we muddled our way through it. We didn't actually make the jam because the cooker that they supplied us, there was something a bit odd about it, and it burnt, the heat went through onto the table we were working on, so we had to rather stop. But that was very useful to me because they then gave me the preserving pan and said, well, you'd better take this home and make jam with it. So I did.
Wonderful.
So that was great. Yes, see, those are the sort of things she gets me into. People go to her and then she says, well, come on, we'll do it together, or, you know, whatever. Or you'll help me.
Minty, you're being blamed here.
That is nothing unusual.
Oh. Right.
Well, that's what a point of a dog would barking yourself, isn't it? Whatever the saying is.
Now, we've celebrated the centenary of National WI, and we're fast approaching the centenary of Cheshire Federation. How do you see the future? Do you think that WI will survive another 100 years?
Not in the same way as it is now.
Well, it's evolved already in our time, hasn't it? So it hopefully will go on
Yes, I don't.
inspiring. But it'll change. It's got to change.
It's got to change, yes.
Yes.
And what advice then would you give to chairmen of federations throughout the country? What would you advise them to do?
As much as possible,
Keep right on, yeah.
because it is
Never say
vital.
die, you know.
So your life has been enriched, hasn't it?
I would say so.
I know mine has.
The family have put up with it quite well, I think. They've survived.
Yeah, but I think, well, I like to think that my family have enriched from it, because I've learned a lot of skills that I wouldn't have had before, which hopefully have, you know, made their lives better.
Yes, yes.
Horrible.
Now, is there anything else that you feel that you could share that we need to know about you?
Oh, I think there's one, one very important item, and that is if you have too many meat pies and you've got to get them cold by the next morning, and all that you've got, you don't own a fridge, but all you've got is a cold stone dining room floor and a dog. They can be separated. There's no problem there, but that's just helps the world go round a bit more.
Early days of Cheshire Show.
Early days of Cheshire Show.
Minty picking up the pies from the Cranford Cafe.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
and there was-
Canute Cafe.